welcome to episode 17 of the Mingled Yarncast. I am Stephen, also known as KnitFen on Instagram and Ravelry, your host. So, today I'm going to talk to you about the trip that I recently took to England and Ireland with some family members, and I got to see a lot of old friends along the way. There were a lot of works in progress during the trip, and a few things I finished during the trip, and quite a few that I brought with me to share. So we're going to have lots of knit talk and also crochet talk. I know how to crochet now. Haha. And anyway, I hope that you'll stick around and come along on this little journey with me. Before I begin, though, with that subject, just wanted to let you know that I will be, in a couple of days, heading to sunny Florida, where I will be for the next few weeks. So if you are in the St. Pete, Tampa area, then send me a message and let me know which yarn shops I should visit, etc., etc. Tell me what's good. All right? Okay, so let's get right to it, because I've got a lot of stuff to show you today. I really do. I spent 3 weeks altogether in England and Ireland, about 9 days in England and about 12 in Ireland. The first part of the trip was in London and in Bath with my grandmother, and then we met up with my mother, my stepfather, and 2 of my aunts, and with them I then went to Ireland. My grandmother went home, the rest of us went to Ireland. So I was there for 3 weeks total. The others were not, but it was a really long, epic, wonderful, wonderful trip, and one that I'm already, I've been back a few weeks now, but I keep thinking back on it and reminiscing about the wonderful times had with all of my loved ones in some beautiful, beautiful spots. So we started off in London. My grandmother had wanted to go somewhere, and she didn't really care where, and I was already planning to go to London as part of my first trip back to the UK since COVID. So I hadn't been in 5 years, and that's unusual because, as you probably know if you've watched this podcast long enough, I spent a year working in Bath way back when, and I therefore have a lot of friends that I like to go back and visit. And the town itself is so beautiful, as you probably know if you've ever visited. So I would go to visit if I didn't have friends, but I do, fortunately. And so normally I try to go every 2 or 3 years at a minimum. So 5 was a long time, and I was very excited to go back. The reason I was going back now was because the school Advanced Studies in England is had a 35th anniversary party, 35 years that the program has existed. So all of this was kind of scheduled around that. In fact, the other part of my family that wanted to go to Ireland, I told them I will arrange it, but I'm going to be over there already at this time, so this is when we're going. Can you do it? They said yes. So everything worked out really, really well. So we started in London, and my grandmother and I've been describing this trip to friends as very Chaucerian. It was like Canterbury Tales. The 2 of us began every day with a religious service. Some days we ended it with one too. But in between, there were lots of pubs. There were lots of markets. There were lots of, just very kind of, I don't know, medieval goings on. No, that's not the right word for it. But there were lots of life, people. Everywhere we went, we were surrounded by crowds. It was loud, it was noisy. There were lots of scents, lots to see, lots to hear. We didn't actually see any plays while we were in London. Normally I would, but this time we didn't. We were just kind of enjoying walking around. And so it was relaxing. It was not rushed. In fact, you know how a lot of times when you're on vacation, everything feels like it's just going too fast? This actually felt the opposite. It was going wonderfully slowly because we woke up every day with no plan and ended up doing great things. We've done that my whole life pretty much, my grandmother and I. Ever since I was a kid, she would take me around Cincinnati and just say, okay, where are we going? And I would say, I don't know, I've heard about this place. And she would say, let's go there. And we've traveled like that my whole life, and I'm very grateful for that, because I kind of travel like that even when we're not together. It's my preferred modus operandi. So, while we were there, you may have seen, if you follow me on Instagram, that this little fella behind me, Simon, Come and say hello, Simon. This is Simon the sheep, and he is my very first. Well, he is actually my very second crochet project. This is the first. More on this later. I think I've spoken about it before, but anyway, and I've probably spoken about Simon before, but he was not in a complete state when you saw him last, because I didn't finish him until we were there. I had his whole body finished, but not his fleece, and this fleece took a long time. It's made of okay, I can crochet, but I'm not perfect with all of my terminology, but I think it's a chain 8 loop again and again. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it is. And yeah, I mean, it probably, well, maybe it didn't take as long to do the fleece as it did everything else, but it felt like it. But it was fun. It was fun. I'm not complaining about that. It took a long time. So, Simon here, he is a Toft pattern project, and I made him using Toft yarn, which I do not know if it is English yarn per se, or if it is British. And it may be British. I don't know if it is British. I don't know if it's English. Sometimes I still get those terminologies mixed up. But in any case, he was my little mascot for the whole trip, and he took lots of pictures everywhere. I'm going to put them up here for you to see while I talk. But anyway, I want to say just about the process of making him. Let me take his hat off so you can see his little ears. There we go. Isn't he cute? Huh. It took me a while at first to get the hang of just crocheting anything. But the good thing about this project was, and they do list it as a beginner one, and I would say it is, if you've never done crochet before, it's a good one to start with, because the first 4 things that you do are the legs, and they're essentially the same. In fact, they are the same. They might look a little different in size on mine because, can you see the difference in the feet here? This one's like really kind of thick, and this one's a little thinner, because I got the hang of it this time around. And, you know, if you were an expert looking at my stitches, you would probably find lots of places where they're too big, too small, etc., skipped, added. That happened quite a bit. So there was a lot of learning that went into making Simon, but he was a lot of fun, and he's very, very cute. And I'm going to be doing another of the Toft patterns. This when you purchase the pattern for him, he's part of 10. So there's another one in there that is an alpaca, and my niece, she doesn't exactly raise alpaca because they're not with her full time, but she goes and takes care of somebody else's alpaca, I guess, and shows it at 4-H gatherings and fairs, things like that. I really don't know how all of that works, but at any rate, I have several skeins of yarn from not the alpaca that she takes care of, but some of the others in that stable, I guess is what you call it. So I'm going to make one out of that yarn. An alpaca doll out of alpaca yarn. It'll be really cool, I think. So anyway, this is Simon, and yeah, he was along for the ride. You'll see him again later, but for right now, I'll put him back here. There you go. Oh, you want your hat back? Okay. Hold on. He gets cold very easily. The hat, you know what, I'll tell you more about the hat later, because that's part of when we get to Bath. So, I spent most of the first few days in London, I was working on him and getting his fur on. And it was important that I got his fur on when I did, because when I attended the party at Advanced Studies in England in Bath, the theme every year is British and American icons. And so I went as representing the iconic British wool industry, which was kind of fun, because the episode prior to this was the book club when we talked a lot about the American wool industry. Well, in July, I was representing Britain in that regard, and I did so by wearing this outfit, which I will put up for you here. There you go. Um, I suppose you could consider me a farmer of some kind dressed like that. Rather dapper farmer. Here is finally the finished fall river vest by Mary Jane Mucklestone, which I made with yarn from Ava at the Scottish Yarn Festival. And this was such a hit and so much fun to wear, so much fun to make. I can't remember how much I've said about it in previous episodes. Did I have it done the last time? I can't recall. But I don't think I did. Did I? I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to look back at my other videos and see if I talked about the steeking process with this. If I did, then I won't do it again. But if I didn't, then I will come back to it because, well, it was the first time I did anything with steeks, and that was a lot of fun. But it's also scary, but fun. And anyway, I went to the party with a sweater that made with yarn from Scotland, a rose made with yarn from Wales, because this little beauty was made with the skein from the flock of sheep that are raised by my friend Rob at ASE. And so he works for the program, but he also raises sheep at home, and he gave me this beautiful skein of yarn. And so, like I said earlier, this is my first crochet project, a little rose. And so I wore this to represent Wales, the sweater representing Scotland, and Simon representing England. His hat fell off. Because even though I'm not entirely sure if he's made of English wool specifically or British wool generally, I'm going with English just to make the costume work. Okay? Thanks for going with me on that. Okay. Being back in Bath was great. Seeing friends was a lot of fun. I went to see a play with my friend Barbara called Accolade, and it was really, really interesting. It was, I didn't do the research into it that I meant to do into the playwright and well, let me just say that it was written, I believe, in the 50s, and it doesn't seem like it was written in the 50s. It seems like it was something that could have been written today, and deals with themes that are very relevant today. And it was shocking. It was quite shocking. Very strange in some ways, but very, very provocative and very interesting. So check that out. I will put a link to it. I can't remember the playwright's name right now. Not somebody that I was familiar with. And I'm a theater teacher, so I know some plays. But I hadn't heard of him before. So anyway, that was great. I saw my friend Barbara, and I gave her the Birds of a Feather shawl that I was working on before, which she has now, so I can't show it to you, but I'll throw up a picture here of myself wearing it. I do have one of Barbara wearing it, but she's a little camera shy, so I won't do her the what's the word I'm looking for? I won't upset her by flashing her picture onto the internet. But anyway, it was great to see her. It was great to be there, to see lots of friends, to have a wonderful party, and to be there with my grandmother. She had a great time too. It was just a really terrific experience overall. So, oh wait, we can't leave Bath just yet, because I still need to talk to you about the yarn that I purchased, and I need to tell you about my friend Rika, who is someone who works at Advanced Studies in England, where I used to work. As a matter of fact, she sits in the same office that I used to sit in 24 years ago. And she knits. She's online on Instagram as Rika Knits. And not only does she knit and crochet beautifully, but she also makes some really, really cool things that she sells at markets. And I don't think that she can ship them abroad. And I don't know that she sells them online yet either. I could be wrong. I'm going to put a link up to her information. In fact, let me see. Here's her card. And if I hold this steady for just a moment, can you scan that? Looks like it's maybe just an Instagram QR code and not a website. But anyway, I don't know if this is visible to you, but on my screen it's moving in weird ways. It's kind of cool. Anyway, so she makes a lot of cool things that are small, so that she can make a lot of them and have some inventory to sell. But she makes a lot of different earrings, and she is the one who made the tiny little hat for Simon. Well, she didn't make it for Simon. In fact, I believe what this is an egg cap to put on an egg. Isn't that the cutest little thing? Especially if it's hard-boiled and you want to keep it warm. So if it's sitting in an egg cup and then this is on top of it, ta-da! Your egg stays perfectly the perfect temperature. His head's kind of shaped like an egg, as you can tell, so it works beautifully. Anyway, but what I loved the most that she had in her inventory were these little earrings. And I'm going to take them out to show you, but I've got 3 of them here. And they are skein earrings. Check this out. Okay, oops. Sorry, the screen just went blank. Okay, I don't. Can you see the color okay? There you go. So they are a green, and they are like little tiny skeins of yarn. My ears are not pierced, but if they were, they would hang like this. Maybe I should get my ears pierced. I think these look great. But anyway, yeah. She told me how she does it, and I'm sure that, if you know how to work up a skein, you could figure it out. But I don't know how to do that very well, to be honest with you. So to me, it looks quite complex, even though I know it's probably quite simple. Anyhow, I've got green ones here. I've got a set of white ones. There you go. I'm pretty sure you can see them through the little baggie. And these kind of mixed colored, variegated ones. And I would like to give them away to one of you, because I don't have pierced ears, as we've just noted. But you might, and even if you don't, maybe you would just like to have them anyway. So here's what I would like you to do. And if you would like a chance to win these, and I'm going to send all 3 to the same person, just for simplicity's sake. But if you would like them, what you need to do is leave a comment in the comments below, the comment section, and tell me about your favorite British novel, your favorite British TV show, movie, actor, actress, whoever you want to tell me, but somebody British or some British artwork that you admire. And yeah, that's all you've got to do. So get into the comments, tell me about your favorite British mystery series or movies or musicals or Julie Andrews or whatever you want. And you will be in the running for all 3 of these. All 3, which then you can give away or keep for yourself. I don't care what you do once they're yours. But anyhow, I will do a giveaway video in the weeks ahead and get those out to you as soon as possible. So, there you go. Now, I made some purchases in Bath too. There are several yarn stores in Bath for a city of its size, and I don't know what its current population is, but it's not huge. It's a place that packs well above its weight in terms of its artistic and cultural punch. And it has quite a few very nice places to buy yarn. So I visited 3 of them. One is in the Guildhall Marketplace, and I didn't purchase much there. It's more of a general store with a whole lot of items and a wall full of yarns. I might have bought something there, but I actually found that one the 3rd, and I wasn't even looking for it. Somebody told me about it in passing, and I'd already kind of spent my yarn budget at 2 others. So the first of these, let's see, where to begin? Let's start here. The first is called A Yarn Story, and you can follow them on Instagram at A Yarn Story. And that is their name. They are on Walcot Street. As you are walking, if you know Bath, you walk kind of along the river, but up the hill to the east, north and east from the city center where the Abbey is, and on Walcot Street. And I say that because they have a line of yarns called Walcot Yarns. And I went in there and met with Susan Marie Byrne. I gave you her full name because that's how you will find her on Instagram if you would like to look her up. You'll find her connected to a yarn story. Susan Marie Byrne, Byrne, who is a fabulous knitter herself. And so she was working that day, and I spoke to her about and asked about what things I might find there that I couldn't find anywhere else. That's really what I was interested in my yarn shopping. So she pointed out this, and this was such a surprise to me because this is a collaboration that Walcot Yarns has done with, you can see it there, Les Garçons. I was not expecting to walk into a shop in Bath and find everyone's favorite garçon represented on the shelves with this incredible yarn. So I've got, I'm only holding up these two, but I've got two of each actually. And so it's a yarn that they call Fluff, and it's pretty obvious why when you're holding it. You can probably see here. It looks like a mohair, and I actually thought that it was until I read a little more carefully what it says back here. I will show you here, and I will read here. It is a sport weight yarn that is 55% baby alpaca, 18% fine merino wool, 17% mulberry silk, 10% yak, and 100% dreamy. And oh, is it dreamy. It really, really is. So it feels like a thicker, chewier mohair. Like if this were a wine, it would be something with lots of tannins in it, something that you could just like feel through your whole head and your whole body. There's just substance to it. So much so that Susan showed me a cardigan that was made entirely with this, and the pattern was called, I wrote it on the back of that card, where'd the card go? Here it is, Preppy by Julia Wilkins. So yeah, it's a cardigan that kind of looks, or has the color and structure of like a high school jersey, like a high school jacket. And so that's what I'm going to make with the two of these. And I think the colors are coming across pretty well here. It's a gray, sagey green, and a darker bluish green. But I'm going to be making a cardigan out of it, and I cannot wait to see what that's going to be like when it's done. A jersey made out of this luscious, luscious, more than mohair. It's going to be cool. Can't wait. So that's what I picked up from a yarn story. It's a beautiful, beautiful store. Definitely find your way there if you are in Bath. Next, the other store was Wool. And Wool is a place that I had never visited, even though it's been there for quite some time. I didn't really pick up my needles again until about 2019. I had a few years there when I was not knitting a whole lot. And well, Wool has been there since 2012. So I have been to Bath, and it was there, but I wasn't really looking around for things like that, so I never went there. But it is owned and run by Laura Shipley, who you may have seen her fabulous reels on Instagram. She, and maybe TikTok too, I don't know, not on TikTok. But she has a great sense of humor and artistic flair as a videographer, as well as a knitter and shop owner. So I was very excited to go and visit her, but I was also surprised to learn that her shop is literally not even 1 block away from where I worked. She's right there, so I really should have been there much sooner than this year, but you live, you learn, said Alanis Morissette. So here is what I have walked away with. Ever since, well, since I really got back into knitting a couple of years ago, I wanted to make a series of sweaters that were inspired by the cities and places that I've lived, starting with a Bath sweater. For whatever reason, I had in my head like that had to come first. Not Cincinnati, not Hoboken, not New York, Bath. Maybe because it has such a distinct color palette associated with it. But I walked around a few days before going back there to purchase what I want. I went twice. I went the first time to just kind of scope the place out, see what they had, and think, okay, I see what's there. I know that I want something that's local British yarn. Um, I see the colors. I'm going to walk around a few days and just take in the colors of the place again and come back and get a sweater quantity of uh, British yarns in colors that, to me, represent Bath. So I'm going to flash on the screen here some of the images of Bath itself. You may or may not be familiar with what it looks like. But it's famous for its Bath stone, which not all, but most of the buildings are made out of, and it's kind of it's a sandy brown. It depends on the light. It reflects light all kinds of different ways, and depends on if it's wet too. But anyway, Bath is known, it has a very distinct aesthetic because of the stone and the style of architecture, and you see that all over the place. So I wanted something that kind of said Bath stone, and so I found this one. They had some solid browns, but they were a little too brown. This one I felt like did the trick in terms of catching the different shades all at once. Because really, I don't know if you can how well you can see it here, but the buildings could be any of these little flecks of brown in here at different times of day. So there's that one. And then there's just the ever-present green that you see all over England and Ireland. And I don't think this is really showing as well as I would like it to on the video right now. But it's a deep green. It looks on the screen for me anyway. It looks kind of grayish. It's not. It's greener than that. There is the sky, which when it's not raining, and actually on this trip it barely rained. We had mostly blue skies the entire time, so we were very fortunate. So I've got the sky here. And then this one to represent the water, the river itself. And also the sky, I suppose, too, because it does get kind of cloudy. Maybe this one's the water, but this one's the sky. Anyhow, together, this is what we've got. 2 solids, 2 speckles, and all of these yarns, I should have said, are from the West Yorkshire Spinners. The brand is the Croft. It is 100% Shetland wool. And there we go. Yeah, so this is going to do the trick. I've got a few projects to work on before I can get to this, but I am very excited to get started on it. Finally, because I've been dreaming about this project for a long time. Oh, and I forgot to add, just to give it a little bit of something, Laura has a few yarns in her shop that she's dyed herself. Not too many, and they're mostly smaller mini skeins, but I wanted to get a couple of those so that I could put a splash of, her very local color into it. So I've got this one of various greens and browns and yellows and sort of wildflower hues, and this one of blues and a little bit of orange in there, or peach, I suppose. So it's falling apart a little bit, which maybe allows them to be seen a little better. So there you go. These are Laura Shipley's own dyed mini skeins. So they, like I say, will find their way into my Bath sweater one day. Okay. Let me make sure that that is everything. I think it is. So now, before we transition to Ireland, I want to say that after I finished Simon, his hat keeps falling off, I immediately turned my attention to this beautiful piece. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this. This is the Sweet Surrender wrap, and this is the first design by Irina Shar of Fiber Chats. And she asked me to be a test knitter for it, and I did explain to her. I said, I don't know if I can get it done. I have a few things I have to finish before this trip, and I may not be casting it on right away, but I will try. Sit back a little further here so you can kind of see it in all of its glory. There we go. It's not super long. It's arm's length. But it will keep you warm on a cool spring, summer, fall night. Just need a little something to cover your shoulders. Anyway, as I was saying, so I agreed to test knit it, but I didn't actually get to cast it on until I was in England, and then she actually released the pattern a little bit sooner than anticipated. So I was no longer a test knitter, but more of a first maker, something like that, among the first of those to purchase it. So anyhow, I just want you to see this. She describes this herself very accurately as being a wonderful first lace project for someone. So it has these different bands, and you can do them in different colors, but the simpler stockinette stitch with some holes there, that is a mohair. And this one, the golden color, is this is Malabrigo. They both are Malabrigo. Machita, I believe. And the colorway, I believe, is Oro, as in gold, which makes sense, because it's very golden looking. And when you see it up close, let me... Yeah, so I'm somebody who's not done too much lace in my time. But this was a good first project because you have this repeated pattern, and it's both complex and not once you get used to it. Maybe it shows better if I wear it like this. Yeah, I think it does, with a darker color behind it. But you can see it's almost like a... well, I was thinking to myself as I was making it that I wanted colors that represented sunshine through clouds, because that was what I was expecting to have a lot of in the UK. And not only is the color like the sun, the shape of the lace, that's what I was starting to say before, is very sunshiny. It kind of has rays going out. You can see these circles of circles, but in the midst of them you have the more solid bit and the rays going out from around it. And it's really, really pretty. It's simple, but really, really pretty. And complex enough that when you do get the hang of it, it's really just, I mean, it flies. And it stays interesting. I mean, honestly, it's the stockinette parts that seem to drag and take the longest. And there's only, let's see, I think there's 8 rows, front and back, of stockinette. But those seem to take longer to me than this did, because I find this in general, even with my Fair Isle piece, you know, it's so complex, but it feels so much quicker when you're doing it because your mind is so engaged, and for me, that just makes it last. In fact, I was thinking to myself when I made the Birds of a Feather shawl, it's the second time that I made that one, and I probably won't make it again because it's mostly garter stitch, and I'm at a point now where just doing garter isn't that engaging. In fact, it gets a little tedious. So this kept me going, and I got it done in a really kind of a quick time for me. Shawls for me normally take a month to a month and a half. I started it while I was in England, so maybe let's say it was July 1st, and I had it done shortly after I got back on July 18th, so it took me 3 weeks, I would say, which is, like I say, fast for a shawl for me. Anyway, it's a great pattern. You should definitely try it out. Even if you are not a beginner, I think you'll find it interesting enough and quick enough that it'll be a nice addition to your wardrobe or to a gift in somebody else's wardrobe. So, yeah, give it a try. Okay, so from England, we went to Ireland, and while there, this portion of the trip was, well, what's the word I'm looking for? My parents, I told them that I would plan the trip, and I very conscientiously, consciously, consciously, um, did not use a tour company because I have been to Ireland on two other occasions, and I know enough about where to go and what to see and kind of how to structure it. So rather than ask somebody else to plan the trip for us, what I did was planned it around three base cities. We stayed in Dublin, Cork, and Galway. And I signed us up for a few Viator tours from there. So from Dublin, for example, we went to Kilkenny, Glendalough, the Wicklow Mountains, where we saw a sheepdog demonstration, actually, which was really kind of cool. We got to see how the shepherds use border collies to herd the sheep, and it was a lot of fun. I took some fun pictures with Simon there, too. He was with his own. And anyway, from there we went to Cork, and at Cork we went to see Blarney Castle. We went to visit the town of Cove, which was really beautiful, and I hired us a private Viator driver guide to do the Ring of Kerry from Cork, and it was great. It's only about 45 minutes away to get to the Ring of Kerry, and I'd done it before as part of a student school tour, so I had already experienced it on a bus trip and knew kind of the lay of the land a bit, and realized it would be nice to have a private tour guide who we can ask to stop whenever we would like to and see different things. And also, he had some great suggestions for us to see places that I had never been, actually, because typically on tours, you do the Ring of Kerry and don't stray off of the ring. But he said, one of the cool things to see here is the Cliffs of Kerry, which are at the edge of the peninsula, and you have to leave that main road. So we went there, and it was phenomenal. It was one of the coolest things that we saw the whole time. So I was very glad that we did that. That was a lot of fun. We went to Galway, spent a lot of time in Galway City. There, my stepfather and I went golfing, which was great. I'm a terrible golfer. Don't ask me to play. I will play if you ask, but I am bad, so don't expect to compete with me. You will win, and you will be bored if you are good. So, and you'll have to be patient with me hitting the ball 15 times just to get it to the green. Anyhow, from there we went to see the Cliffs of Moher, the Burren, and that region. And then we went back to Dublin, and I should say too, in Dublin, my parents, they have a goddaughter who lives there, and we spent a lot of time with her at both ends of the trip. So, all in all, it was a really, really wonderful time, and I loved it, loved the people, loved the food, loved the Guinness, and all the different beers. We had a lot of fun trying everything out. But while I was there, I didn't have any particular yarn shops to visit as I did in Bath. Those were part of my itinerary. I had to go to those two, but I knew that I would pass some along the way. So while we were in Blarney. A few years ago, when I had visited Blarney Castle, which, by the way, I want to say this. If you have ever been there, most tour trips take you there, and they'll drop you off the bus, and they'll say, okay, you have 2 hours, and in that time, you're going to go up and kiss the stone, and you've got to eat something, and that's it. Then we're going to go. At least that's how it's been for me. So, Erin, my parents' goddaughter, who has been living in Ireland for a while, she said, listen, go there and spend the day. It's great. You'll love it. The gardens are beautiful, and there's plenty of places to sit and eat and just enjoy yourself. Take some time. So we did, and it was good because it took about an hour just to get to the top of the castle and kiss the stone, which was fun. I took Simon with me. he didn't kiss it too. I felt like that would be taking up time from other people, but he was in my pocket while I did. Anyway, we did that, and then we walked through all of the gardens, and we had a long leisurely lunch, and then we went and visited the Blarney Woolen Mills, and that was where, in the past, I had gone and purchased yarn to make a Celtic braided scarf. When I picked up when I was there in 2018 and made it, I think, that same winter. And so yeah, we went back there, and I went knowing that I would like to get some more yarn to see what they've got. And I found something very unusual that I did not anticipate. It was this. Weave your own Irish tweed. Now, it is a little kit with a pop-out loom, which you can kind of see here. Sorry. I've said this before. The screen does not mirror me, it reverses things. So that's why you'll always see me going, what? Anyhow, yeah. So it provides the yarns. It has a little loom that will pop out of there. And it's to make coasters, I suppose. But it's weaving. And it'll be the first time that I've done anything woven. And I've wanted to do that for a long time. Why? Because my name is Stephen Weber, or Weber, which in German means weaver. So I feel like it's in my DNA. At least it ought to be. So somebody in my past, my family history, must have been a weaver. I don't know if they were actually, but I do know that on my Weber side, the ones who came here in the 1850s, they all went to work in a shirt factory. So that would seem to indicate that they had some prior knowledge of how to do that. And at least for the first two generations, a lot of them worked at the shirt factory. So I don't know, back in Germany, how many generations back they were weaving, but I would like to believe that it goes back centuries. Who knows? But anyway, it'll start again with me. And I'm going to be doing this in a few days' time, hopefully. Oh, it's an Irish breakfast coaster set. Don't know what makes it specifically suited for breakfast, but there you have it. But like I said, I'm going to start this in a few days' time while I'm in Florida, actually, and I will keep you posted on how that goes. Of course, I will be talking about it in a video once it's done, but I'm very excited. You know what? Let me show you the inside. Why not? We have a booklet that will show us a bit of history, a bit of inventory and how-to. It's not huge, but it seems to have everything that one would need. Instructions for putting the loom together. The yarns, look at how these are presented. Isn't that cool? I believe these can break apart when I need to, but for right now I'm going to keep them together so that they will go back neatly into the box, but we have several different colors here. And it says that it is Donegal yarn, I think. Where did I say that? Genuine Donegal yarn, yeah. And then the loom itself is wrapped. It's a pop-out product. How about that? I'd opened this before and it seemed to open right up, and now it's being very sticky. Ooh. Don't pop out yet. I don't want that to happen yet. Okay. So, there it is. I'm going to pop out all of these little tools, and the frame itself, I think, becomes the loom. There's a little bit of sandpaper here, so I don't hurt my little finger. And, yeah. And it even says, the pocket loom. Isn't that cool? I can't wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. Okay. I will wrap all that up a little bit later. Sorry, something fell on the floor. What's this? Oh, the yarns themselves. These are Donegal yarns. We have the Irish there, for those who can read that. And it says, the colors of these unique yarns are inspired by the wild Atlantic landscape of Donegal, Ireland. Cool. So, there's that. That's what I picked up at Blarney, not Blarney Castle, but at the Blarney Woolen Mills, which are just down the street. And like I said, we literally spent the whole day there. I think we got there at 10 o'clock, maybe 11. We were there till 5 or 6. We had dinner there as well and came home to the hotel. So spend a whole day at Blarney. You won't regret it. The flowers are just gorgeous. The gardens are beautiful. Really, really great. Okay. I didn't buy anything in Dublin. We started in Dublin. I did say that, but I did not purchase any yarn there. Didn't purchase any yarn until Cork. But then when we went to Galway, Galway's very close to the Aran Islands, and I'm sure you know this already, but the Aran Islands are famous for the Aran sweaters, which, as I understand it, are not quite as ancient as they would like tourists to believe, but are nonetheless very much a feature of the culture and the textile history of the place. And while I was there, we didn't go to the Aran Islands. We went to the Cliffs of Moher instead. We had a cab driver kind of scold me for not going there. He said, "So where are you going while you're here?" And I said, "Oh, well, we're doing the Cliffs of Moher." He says, "Wrong. You shouldn't have done that. You should have gone to the Aran Islands." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, next time. I will do it next time." So in Galway, though, there are many, many, many woolen shops. They get a little repetitive, if I'm honest, but there are many, many of them, and they do have beautiful things. And I picked up 2 skeins of this Aran wool from the Aran Woolen Mills. It says, a green product, 100% merino wool, natural feeling. I don't know why they say that. That makes it sound like there's something unnatural about it if you have to say that it's natural feeling. But if it's 100% merino wool, then it ought to be natural. Ought it not? Wondering if there's any other useful information here. None that I can tell. But anyway, this one is green and brown mixed together. This one is 100% creamy white. And what I think I'm going to do with these is, as we're going around, well, for one thing, I'm sure many of you have done this, or you do this all the time too. You see things that other people are wearing, or you see things about. And if you're walking through a shop that has Aran sweaters, you're going, I can make that, I can make that, I can make that. And taking pictures, making an inventory of all the things you're going to make, all the patterns you're going to take and make your own. And my mother kind of does the same thing if she's with me too. She says, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, meaning I want you to make this, which I will do my best to do. But one thing, she did not point out exactly. She saw a headband that was done with cables and kind of a winter headband to cover the ears and not cover the top of the head. I'm going to do a version of that. Where did it go? With these 2 yarns, so that it will be, I think probably, well, I don't know yet. I don't know if it'll be a white base with green motifs, or green with white, or maybe different panels where I switch that up, but a headband of sorts using Celtic motifs, and having that hopefully ready in time for Christmas for my mom. And that is what will happen with these Aran yarns. Okay, now, is that everything? I think we've made it to the end, folks. Wow. So, thank you for coming along on this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed it. The next episode is going to be a giveaway for the earrings mentioned earlier. Again, if you would like to be in the running for that, then leave a comment telling me your favorite British performers or shows, or whatever bits of British culture, novels, painters, I don't know, whatever you want. Put that down below, and we'll have a little raffle for that, and I will get those off to you sometime soon. The next episode will be filmed also whilst in Florida, and at that point I'm going to show you some other things that I've finished recently that I'm holding back on right now. I figured this episode had enough already, but I wanted to show you the lacy cotton top that I started last year with yarns from France. I'm almost finished with the polo that I'm making from it. I want to have it done in time to wear in Florida, because that's the place to wear light yarn with lots of holes in the fabric. I'm also planning to work on some other very lightweight things while I'm there, because it's hot. I know it's going to be hotter than here, and it's hot here. But I'm sure it's going to be a lovely time all the same. So I will share that with you there. All right, folks, then that's it for this episode. I will see you next time. All right, be well, take care, happy knitting.